I thought tonight I would look at cables. My memory being what it is, I can't remember exactly what the routing for most of them are. So the first one I'm going to start with is probably the throttle cable, followed by the choke cable, and then after that I'm going to look at clutch and brake cables. The hard bit is trying to remember the route that the various cables took without interfering with everything else. Right, I'm going to attach that to the carburetor. I think originally these bikes had a pull system on the throttle, which is where you have two cables coming from the handlebars. One cable pulls the throttle open and the other pulls it shut. I think the idea was it gave a better throttle response, but this one at some point has been converted to a simple pull throttle, which means you have to get the right bracket, otherwise you're trying to pull the throttle closed. So I think I need to come from underneath rather than from the top. Under the fuel, under the idle adjust, come on, there we go, and then drop it into its bracket, and then that in theory, when I pull now, should, that gives us throttle control. Excellent, I think I might tighten that up. Excellent. The next thing to fit is the clutch bracket, which I had powder coated. The choke cable could probably do with being renewed. It's showing quite a lot of signs of wear and tear, and like it's been out in all weathers. So that's the choke fitted to its bracket. Now we've just got to run the cable. Follow the same route the throttle cable takes. I'm just clipping the cable into the actual choke lever. Come on. There we go. I don't want any tension on it in its closed position. Give it a bit of tension. That's loose enough, yep. Try the choke. That's better. Right, so we have choke now. Stays up as well. The next job I'm going to look at is the speedometer cable. That runs from the back of the speedometer into the front of the hub here, and plugs into the hub and then is secured using a screw on the hub. It goes through this bracket here, and there is also this bracket here which bolts to the frame and acts as a guide to stop it flapping about. Okay, I'm not going to pinch that up just yet because I want a bit of wiggle room. Okay, what I've done is plugged the speedo cable into its drive mount, which starts here and then is retained with this screw here. Right, we've got this bracket here which mounts to the forks to take the brake cable, and that mounts like so. There should be one at the top as well, but I've yet to find one, so it's something I'm actively seeking to get hold of. You get a big loop of cable sticking out, which is potentially a catch hazard on vegetation when you're green laning. Not that this bike's going to do a lot more green laning after this, I don't think. Too much money in it. So there we go. Next job is to drop the cable down through our newly fitted guide. I've got the cable into the lever, so focus. So that's good to go, except that the lever is still loose on the actual arm. So I'm going to set it up at the brake lever end, and then I'm going to come back and adjust it at this end. Right, after a bit of messing about, I've got to the point where there's plenty of room for adjustment. So that's at its slackest point on the cable, so I can adjust it at the top end, but the majority of the adjustment will be done at the bottom end, where I could got another inch and a half of thread left on the adjuster. Okay, so this is the adjuster area. So to tension the cable, you need to wind that thread up using the nuts on top to adjust it and the nut on the bottom to adjust it. And that is the brake setup at the bottom end with the lever ready for adjustment. And here's the brake lever at the other end with the dust cover back in position. All keeping it nice, neat and tidy. Okay, it's rear brake time. This is the cable that has to fit in. It attaches here at the brake pedal. There's a retainer there. There's a retainer back here, and then there's the brake lever at the very rear here. So I'm going to see if I can start at the brake pedal end without removing it. In place. I think it's just the powder coating. It's kind of reduced the diameter slightly of the bore. He says confidently. Yeah, there we go. Okay, well that's something. The cable has to pass through that holder there. And again, yeah, the powder coating's definitely just making everything just a bit tighter. And that brings the cable through here, so that when we press the brake pedal, we get the retractions. And I also want to apply grease to the, I don't know what you call this, the thingy. And it's the thingy that slides, it's the thingy now that's covered in crap. It's the thingy that slides in here. There we go. Okay, the grease has made a big difference there. Just going to make sure that this lines up with that hole. And that goes in. So it's through the bracket, you've got the spring, got the rubber bush, and then you've got the thingy. Okay. The new clutch cable has arrived. With the clutch cable, I'm going to start at the clutch end and work my way backwards. I fitted the rubber boot that came off the old clutch cable. Is that going to fit in there now? Here's another example of why powder coating can be a bit of an issue sometimes. Right, I've got the clutch cable through here now with a bit of fettling. It's attached to the clutch lever itself. The cable runs up and over, and I have to say I am disappointed with this aftermarket cable. It's about an inch shorter than the original that was on there. I say original aftermarket, but that is creating a bit of a problem in the fact that I've pretty much lost all adjustment, and if this cable stretches by even a little bit, then I'm going to find myself in trouble, I think. There are no diagrams as to the routing of the cable, so I've had to search on the internet, and as best as I can tell, the clutch cable dives down between that hole there. Now, when I dismantled this bike, the clutch cable did not run on that route, but with the cable being that bit shorter, I'm kind of out of options. So for the time being, I'm going to be running through that hole. I'm pretty certain that's what that hole's there for, but I can't guarantee it. So again, if anybody knows, please let me know. Thank you. Annoyingly, I purchased a new rubber boot for the clutch cable. Because it was new in the packet, I didn't think to check it carefully, but it looks like I actually have two versions of the brake boot. You can tell because it's got a gap for the brake light switch. So that is rather irritating, but I think it'll work. Certainly in the short term anyway. It should still fit over there. Okay, and I have the clutch cable adjusted. As you can see, because of that lost inch, I've had to adjust this all the way out to take the slack in the outer cable. The only other way to do it would be to move the clutch lever closer, but then you start extending it down the handlebar, and as it is, we're not set up properly. But I'll just have to play it by ear. I'm not going to throw the old cable away. It does work, it's just tired and quite stiff. So yeah, I'm going to see how we go with that one and then take it from there. This boot doesn't look too bad in its current state. The only downside is it's got the drain hole on top and this open hole here, but only a purist would know. Make sure they fit there. Oh, that went in okay. Okay, that's that done up. One pillion. I won't show you the other.